The Leica M6 was manufactured between 1984 and 2002. There were two versions in that time. The Classic, which was manufactured from 84 to 98, and the TTL version, which was manufactured from 98 to 2002. The M6 is a rangefinder camera, and what does that mean? It means that there's no mirror inside the camera. No mirror inside. You need to focus through the viewfinder and focus with the lens, and there's an image overlapped on top of the viewfinder, right in the middle, and once you've lined it up, you know that it's in focus. And it's proven to be a much, for me anyway, quicker method of focusing than traditional SLRs. I mean, you've got split imaging and stuff with certain viewfinders in SLRs, but I haven't found anything quite as accurate and as fast as with a rangefinder. And sometimes it can cost you a shot going a bit forward, bit backward on an SLR, and with this you just know that once those images are lined up, it's in focus. So, rough overview. Let's turn around and look at a top-down view of this camera. Okay, so this here is how you'll probably mostly be looking at the M6 from above. What are the ergonomics like for the M6? It's got a solid weight in my hands, and it's not heavy to carry on my neck. The dials feel solid to turn and don't jam. The camera has been built with quality in mind whilst not trying to make the thing bomb-proof. And the ISO dial is a little difficult to change. You got to press in and move. But what are you meant to do, right? You only have to change it once per roll, so it's not the worst thing in the world to do. Any movable crank or lever on this is a joy to use. You've got your your frame line selector here. You've got the film wind crank here. You've got your release there. Everything has a unique feel and sound that you will never, ever feel like you're getting bored of. One big thing about the ergonomics for this camera is how you load the film. So normally you would expect the back to open up. Much like this P30 here, I pull this lever, back pops open, I put my film in here, push it across, and it'll wind on. This camera doesn't work like that. You want to load film, you need to go to the bottom of the camera. You need to untwist the bottom plate, and here you're presented with a diagram about how this camera is loaded. So you can flip the back up here, and now you can see the back. And so you put your roll of film in here. You stretch it through this little slit right there, and you make sure that you've pushed it all the way up so that it's right over the frame, and then you put it in here and you follow the directions. You put it into the, can you see that? There's 3 prongs here. You slot it into the 3 prongs. And what I like to do is just to make sure that it's working, I'll just wind on. Okay, it's caught. Close the back. And then you're ready to go. And that's how you load the camera. So it is a bit different, but it also, again, like slows you down, gets you thinking, gets you in the mood. One great thing about this camera is that it is 100% mechanical. There's a battery that lives behind here. So there's two batteries that live behind here. They're the standard LR44 batteries, and that's purely for the light meter. If these run out of battery, you're fine. The camera will still work. You just need to use a manual light meter or just understand how to meter yourself. So yes, 100% mechanical, doesn't need batteries to run. I would recommend putting batteries in for the light meter because it just means you are one step less away from the camera. So the lenses for the Leica M6. As you may have guessed, the M is part of the M series. So this takes M mount lenses. This is a Voigtlander 35 f 2.5, and to me this works beautifully. I don't have a problem with it. It creates great images and I am super happy with it. You can use adapters for other types of lenses, but you need to be aware because one, you've got frame lines, which could be difficult, especially if you've got an unconventional focal length, and the metering may also not work within certain lenses. There are other viewfinders. This is the 0.72. There is also a 0.58 and also a 0.86 magnification. I don't know what those look like. I've only got the 0.72 and it seems to work for me. But the other two do have other frame line options, so just be aware of which one you're picking up. So now the shutter. It's one of the first things about this camera that kind of took me aback. I didn't realize it was going to be so quiet and unassuming. Coming from SLRs where I'm used to hearing the mirror slap, it took a little bit of time to adjust to the sound of this M6. But to me, this represents just capturing a moment. It's an image and it's what it is. It's not making this big imprint statement. It's just a simple, it just works. But the materials of the shutter for me are somewhat lacking. I will show you. So here we've got the back of the camera, and you can see right here, this is only just a curtain, and I mean, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that, but I would have liked something a little bit more higher quality because I have had issues with curtains before in other cameras where they've jammed. For instance, something like in this Pentax P30, this has got, it's not exactly metal, but it is still plastic, but it definitely works in a different way. I need to turn the camera on for that to work. So this is still plastic and it is still very, very lightweight. And I think I would have preferred something like that than this in the M6, but look, this is a camera from like the 80s and 90s and early 2000s, so I'm not going to complain really. I'm just hoping that it holds up over time, unlike my other cameras. So another thing with the shutter is the dial, and one thing to be aware of is that it is a little small and a little frustrating to use, just because you've got to like really push for it. And it also works unintuitively. It works the other way around. So the indicators for the metering in here, you would want to push the shutter that way to darken and that way to lighten, but they kept it the old way from the M3 and the M2 and whatever else was made before, but it can be a little bit frustrating to use. It's not too bad. I've just found it's easiest when you've got the shot, you leave the lever here, and then you can use both fingers whilst you're looking through the viewfinder. If you close this, it can be difficult to move. But either way, that's what it is. You can use these at in between shutter speeds. So here I've got 500. I can stop it halfway between 500 and 1000 and it will go off. Same for here and here, but the camera won't meter for it. But you can do it. The flash sync here, I didn't know until recently, but this is 1/50th of a second. So you've got 1/30th, 1/50th, and 1/60th, and it will meter for that 1/50th. So if you're looking for just a little bit more light or a little bit less light, 1/50th. This is the classic version. I think I forgot to mention that earlier. The TTL version, most notable difference is the shutter dial. It's bigger and it doesn't, so this is going from 30 to 15 to 8. This will actually be going from 30 to 60 to 125. So the dial's actually the other way around, which is much more intuitive than the way that this works. The metering is super simple to get a hold of. You look through the camera, there's a left arrow and a right arrow. When the left arrow is lit up, it means it's underexposed. When the right arrow is lit up, it means it's overexposed. When they're both lit up, you've got perfect exposure. This spot is what takes your reading for the photo. So that means when the film's not wound on, when you haven't wound the shutter on, it's not going to take a reading. So you have to wind on for it to get a reading. And when the lens also has a cap on, the meter will also not read. It's out of the range, it's black, it's got no light coming in, so it's not going to take a reading either. So just so you're aware, it's a spot. It's a little bit larger than a traditional spot metering, but you should be fine with that as long as you know what it looks like and how much of the frame. It's quite a big center weighted spot, but it is spot. So if you've got a super bright sky, it could be missing it, or a super dark foreground. You don't know. That's pretty much the M6. I've gone through everything there. Everything, once again, it feels really nice. It feels what I imagine is a Leica. This is what people love. And I picked this up for a really good price. I think within Australia, I got it for 3,000 Australian dollars with the lens, and I thought that was a really good price. And this is one of the more affordable Leicas that you can buy today. The price of this is going up, so if you want one, there's no better time than now. To me, this is just a different camera. This is a 35mm camera. This is a 35mm camera, and there's a difference. There's a difference between them, and the way that this shutter and the way that this moves, just the sounds of it, you need to hold it and you need to use it to understand. And you may be underwhelmed at first. I was underwhelmed with this Leica, but the more I use my other cameras, the more this just kind of has its own spot of being unique. And that's what I like about it. It's unique and it's different. And because there's no mirror, the lenses can get closer, much like you can on a mirrorless digital camera. These width-wise aren't much different, but you can see that even because this has got a mirror inside it, if I take that off, this has got a mirror on the inside, it's already deeper. That's the camera, that's the Leica. If you're thinking of buying one, just do it. You can always sell it because the value of these things is only going up. In any case, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.